Hello everyone, today's video is going to be talking about the Beta 18 patch notes for Squad. That's right, the Beta 18 patch has just been released for the clients. If you're looking to download this and you have not gotten the update yet, restart your Steam. They're getting faster and faster with these updates as we push closer to that 1.0 release. So good on OWI to, really keeping up the pace, especially during holiday season. So we're going to be talking about the patch notes, my first impressions, and what I think as we get closer to release. So first off, they have done a couple things about infantry gameplay. One thing is they actually removed the buddy rally feature from all factions except insurgents. Now, I totally think that buddy rally works as insurgents. It just plays into that kind of theme of being able to pop up wherever you are, that extra mobility and that extra flexibility. However, I do think buddy rally did have a really good use for conventional factions in the fact that it was easier to keep a game from being snowballed by using buddy rallies. What used to happen before buddy rallies is that if your team got their spawns wiped, you'd have to run 15, 20, 30 minutes just to get back in the fight as a whole team, just because you lost all your fobs and all your rallies. I think they can remove buddy rally now because helicopters are now in the game, and that automatically allows more fobs and more movement by conventional factions. So I think removing the buddy rally here does make sense because we actually have that mobility now as conventional forces. So I am okay seeing this being removed. I know a lot of players hated it, a lot of players loved it. It really went either way because you could really see the utility from a casual or a normal gameplay perspective of keeping that pacing of a match up and keeping that tempo consistent. But with helicopters, like I said before, conventional factions already have that mobility back. So moving on from that, we also have a small nerf here. Persistent ammo has been reduced from 3 mags to 2 mags. Now, persistent ammo is, once again, kind of a love or hate thing. I enjoy the idea of persistent ammo, of needing to use logistics and resupply. It really makes that supply side of Squad really come to the front. Because before in other games, you never really had to worry about resupply, right? You just die, you spawn back, you have your full weapons, you have all your equipment, all your ammunition, but in Squad, you actually get punished for fighting, away from supply and not working with your logistics teams. So I really enjoy how persistent ammo really makes that theme of the game more important and more in the forefront of the game. But I do think that it's a little bit too punishing. In my mind, the perfect persistent ammunition system would be something that takes away your special capacities like lats or grenades or grenade launchers and special things like that, but allows your riflemen to operate as riflemen. I think that the play between vehicles and persistent ammo, running out of lats when you're dealing with vehicles and stuff like that, that already keeps resupply in check because you can't go too far away from your resupply when you're dealing with armor, because if you miss your lats or they just bring out more vehicles and you don't have the HE and the heat to deal with it, you're just going to get slaughtered by vehicles. So I already think there's enough of an incentive with the persistent ammo for lats and hats. I don't really like having basic riflemen, being punished too badly by persistent ammo. Of course, this is my opinion. You might have a different opinion, but I think that rifleman gameplay should always be consistent and that you're already kind of limited by vehicles when it comes to persistent ammo. You're already kind of incentivized to rearm. This is just a little bit too harsh in my opinion, but we'll see how it plays out. Another thing that they're doing is improving the smoke grenades. This is something that I really, really love about Squad. In other games, when you throw smoke grenades, there's tons of times where I'm like, how did this person see me through the smoke? I don't think I've ever had that in Squad. I think when a smoke grenade goes out, it's consistent across all clients, at least in my experience. Whereas in games like Sandstorm, I know they recently patched it. Before, you could see something entirely different in the smoke than another player. And so it's great to see that Squad smokes are being updated and optimized, because a lot of players use smoke, and when you have 40 people on your team using smokes for a push, that can really put a strain on clients and servers. So it's really great to see it. I just got to continue commending Squad for their smoke, because just the timing on it as well, having them kind of come out a little bit faster than real life as far as the plume. It's just smoke grenades have a real use in Squad, whereas in other games you don't really see them used as much. So I really have to commend Squad for improving their smoke gameplay, because I think that's something that a lot of games kind of overlook. Sandstorm and even Escape from Tarkov. Escape from Tarkov has smokes, but no one ever uses them because they look like crap, they work like crap, and it just shows if you put the extra work into that small detail of an asset, people will use it. So really good job there. They've also buffed the Carl Gustav. The arming distance before was 80 plus meters. Now it's 40 to 50. So hats, should be able to land their shots a lot more easily. I think there's something that should pop up on the screen for new players. I don't know. I have my tooltips disabled that explains arming distance, because I've seen so many players recently that take the hat kit and just try to point blank hit a vehicle. So I don't know if there's a tooltip. If there is, then great. But if there isn't, OWI, get on that. What else do we have here that I want to talk about? That's pretty much it, I think, for the infantry gameplay. A lot of Canadian Forces updates, because I know they just recently got Canadian Forces helicopters as well. We've been playing a couple of the helicopter invasion layers on the squad op servers, so that's been a lot of fun. So vehicle gameplay. So they added an unoccupied abandoned vehicle cleanup system, which basically means that if you abandon a vehicle in the field, eventually, over time, it's going to blow up. And I think this is great because there's a lot of games where players just forget about their lodges or leave the lodges, or the lodge gets ambushed or whatever it is. And that can really, really, really put a strain on the team, because you can't get resupplies, you can't get fobs, and then it's a snowball from there. I understand, once again, this is kind of a casual adjustment, and I do think that squad needs to balance that casual and hardcore milsim / competitive scale of things, but I think this is great for the majority of players, because the majority of players are casuals. These are people who hop on, once or twice a week, or maybe a couple times a week, and they just want to play a good round. The hardcore players like myself, or even the comp community, they might see this change as something that's babying the new players, but I think that this is still within the realm of the game and keeps the game at a good tempo, though it might not be the best thing for like realism or for competitiveness, because the strategy before would have been to, disable a logi, not blow it up, and hold it captive. And while that is a good strategy and that is realistic and that is something that, you want the higher level players to be able to do, for the vast majority of players, we have to remember the general player base of the game. I think most people are just looking to get a good solid round in, and being able to get fobs up consistently and not be held hostage the entire round and just get snowballed. I think that's a good general experience for the majority of players, because a lot of players don't like getting steamrolled. It's just how it is. And there are some competitive servers where you can play and have a really, sweaty match, but I think the majority of players just want a good, immersive, fun round that is consistent in pacing. And I think this, along with the buddy rally and the helicopters and all the changes they've been making recently, are pushing in that direction. And I really can say that Squad has a very, very good base vanilla experience. Not competitive or milsim experience, those are completely different, but a good base vanilla experience. I think it's why Squad is so much more popular than Arma, is because it's easy to get into a squad game. It's easy to learn comparatively to these other hardcore games. It's got the depth that a lot of players are looking for, and with all these changes, it's now got consistent pacing. I think the thing that really held Squad back in the past was that pacing issue. If you lost all your lodges or they're held hostage and you lost all your rallies and fobs, well, fuck, I don't want to walk 30, 45 minutes and wait 30, 45 minutes for the next thing. Some players do. That's what we do over at Squad Ops, but a lot of players, the base majority, just want to have a consistent round with constant action, or at least constant tempo throughout the match, so constant lows and constant highs. So I think that these changes are really working towards that kind of gameplay, and I can really stand behind these changes. The next thing I want to talk about as far as vehicle gameplay is, once again, the Canadian Forces are getting updated with the rest of the conventional factions. I've seen there's a lot of faction mods going up right now. I think there's a Finnish one, there's an Australian one, I know there's an Israeli one. There's a lot of cool faction mods that are out there. I'm wondering if they're going to add these in as DLC, just like they did for the Canadian faction, because I think that's definitely something that Squad needs right now, is just more content. Whether it be modding, I know they're working on modding whitelist, but we need to get more factions with more maps in there, because I don't know, maybe this is just for me because I play this game almost every day, and I'm pretty burnt out on the current factions. We just need new stuff. I think the new maps are definitely amazing. Talia was amazing. I can't wait for some of the new maps that they have in the works, but honestly, once they unlock modding, we're going to have all the content in the world. Because some of these mods for the factions and maps look absolutely stunning, but we just can't play them. We just can't, because they're not available or accessible. Moving on from that, we have Commander gameplay. Now, I have a lot of thoughts on Commander gameplay, so let's get straight into it. First off, they're nerfing the Commander ticket cost. So if you die as Commander right now, or not right now, but in V17, you would lose 5 tickets for your team. Now it's only 2. I don't know if I like this change. I kind of want an incentive for the commander to be sitting in the back line, managing the team. In my mind, in a perfect world, the commander understands his importance and understands his position in the realm of squad. You shouldn't be on the front lines, duking it out with other players. You should be controlling and managing the team and the logistics behind the scenes. I think that decreasing the ticket count from 5 to 2 goes against this and incentivizes commanders to also squad lead or vehicle command. I think that commander needs to be its own thing. There is way too much you need to be managing as commander, in my opinion. I know some commanders can squad lead and command at the same time, but I can guarantee that it's too many things for you to juggle. To juggle your own squad, to juggle the rest of the team, the logistics, the spawns, managing where other squads are going, managing where the vehicles are going, getting mortars online, getting your resupply going. I can guarantee you that if you are squad leading and commanding and doing some other task, you are not doing it efficiently. You are doing like half-assing both things because just from the amount of time that it takes, especially during invasion matches. During AAS, you can kind of get away with it because AAS pacing is a little bit different, but the amount of coordination needed for invasion matches, getting everything online and getting the attacks and invasion assaults set up, it's just way too stressful. So I really believe that they need to make Commander Role its own thing, just like Postscriptum and just like Rising Storm 2. I don't really understand why Squad doesn't take these amazing formulas that Postscriptum has already tested out as far as organizing the platoon and put them into Squad. I understand that the devs don't want to, get rid of emergent gameplay and get rid of all these different playstyles. But I understand that at the highest level of, milsim or competitive gaming of allowing players to do what they want to do. But once again, we're talking about the general player base. The general player base needs that organization. The general player base doesn't have the organization or the cohesion to pull off these emergent gameplay tactics in everyday games. Not as a platoon. Maybe as squads they can do like a striker in a squad, a tank in a squad, and the commander is a squad. Each squad can operate with these unnormal tactics or irregular tactics, but the platoon as a whole needs that cohesion. And that's something that I really, really enjoy about Postscriptum, is that the way they have their platoon set up and their squad set up, how infantry squads can only be infantry, armor can only be armor, and logistics are only logistics with a commander role. It's so clear cut from a pubby perspective that you know what you're doing, you know what the other squads are doing, and you can all work together much more easily. So I really, really hope, I don't know if it's ever going to happen. I doubt it's ever going to happen. But I really, really hope we do get some kind of squad split up. Once again, I understand why they don't want to remove that emergent gameplay and all these options at the highest level for competitive players or for, sandbox games. But I think that the general public needs that kind of cohesion. The commander role already was a fantastic addition, and you can already see how much that is affecting public gameplay. I think the more we have that kind of organization implemented into squad, the rounds are going to get better and better from a general casual perspective. And I think that's what's most important, like I said before, because that's the majority of the player base are people who hop on for a couple games a day and then hop off. That's just my opinion on that. I know there's a long spiel, but commander tickets I don't think are going in that direction. I think you need to continue to incentivize players in-game for their role and what they're supposed to be doing. The next thing is that they are buffing the airstrikes. So I really do like the airstrikes. I think the airstrikes need to be a little bit more powerful. I don't know if they need to, reduce the timer on it. Maybe that would work, but I think airstrikes are really underpowered right now just because it used to take 30 seconds. Now it takes 15 seconds, so it's a little bit better. And it's one strike. I think that if they decrease the timer on the airstrikes so you could call them in kind of consistently, if you're only doing like a one aircraft strike, I think that would be really cool because you can consistently hit the map with very small strikes, or maybe make the one strike a 3 aircraft flyby. So you have like 3 A-10s going at it, or 3 Su-25s. I don't know, but I feel like the airstrikes are kind of never used, especially because they share a timer with the artillery. Like, why would you use an airstrike when you can call in artillery? I maybe call in 1 airstrike per round because they share the timer with the artillery. Once you call in the airstrike, it sets your artillery on a cooldown. I don't like that at all. I think that either airstrikes need to be on their own timer or need to be more consistent, or there needs to be a buff to airstrikes. As far as the artillery, super fobs are gone. That I know a lot of you guys have been asking me for super fob videos. It's just not happening anymore, guys. They did buff the indirect fire bunkers, but even with that buff, Creeping barrages just delete super fobs. It just, you can't super fob anymore. Those days are over unless they change something. I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. As much as I love super fobbing, I think that being able to delete super fobs is something that should be a part of the game, because before there was no real counter. You could mortar it, you could smoke it, but attacking super fobs was extremely difficult. Now, if you ever see a super fob, especially when I'm commanding and I'm on the attack, I just creeping barrage that shit and it's fucking gone. So, yeah, I'm okay with it. Like that, it's the end of an era. I'll remember it as a great era, but I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And the next thing for me is commanding. Like I said before, indirect fire shelters have been buffed, so they're more resilient to explosive mortars and artillery. So that's definitely something that was needed, because that's what these are built for. These are built to defend against that, or to survive against those. And with creeping barrages and regular artillery, they would just absolutely get wiped off the map. So I'm happy to see that they're buffing this, because this is definitely what they're built for. So good on them. I think that's pretty much it. The rest is a whole bunch of gameplay, map layers and things like that, especially with the Canadian forces. I'm really excited to see what the next faction is going to be, and if the next faction is going to be DLC or if it was previously a modded faction, because I really want more content. I need more content. These changes are absolutely fantastic, and I love these updates and these changes for the most part. But more content is going to be what excites players again and brings players back into the game. This is kind of important. I've read about in a couple of these map changes, they've decreased the fog so you can actually see further. Now, my thoughts on that are kind of mixed. I like being able to see stuff, but ATGMs are just ridiculous. Like, you can get ATGM'd out from like 1,500 meters, never see the target, and then once that happens, once you have an ATGM lead or a lead on the vehicles, it's very hard to come back from that, because they'll just have full movement on you, and they know when your vehicles are coming back, and they have positional advantage on you. So I don't know how they're gonna balance that. Like, the Spandrel is just so... I think the Spandrel's terrible for gameplay. That's my opinion, but having a mobile ATGM that fires 5 missiles is just... It's a little... I don't like it at all. I think it's bad for gameplay. I think it's bad for vehicle gameplay. It just tracks tanks immediately and then pops them before the tank has a chance to find it, because now you could be seeing out 1,500 meters at a 360-degree angle of attack, and you have no idea where that ATGM comes from, and you don't have the time to react as a tank fast enough. And you can say, oh, you need to watch your positioning, or you need to, like... I don't think you guys understand how far 1,500 meters of visibility is. That's so far away with an ATGM. You're never going to see a small scout truck that's mobile at that distance in time before it gets 2 missiles off on your tank. So I don't know if they're going to come up with a way to defeat the missiles or something like that, but it's just something that I want OWI to be cognizant of, because ATGMs, in my opinion, especially with the fact that you can put down multiple ATGMs, you can put down 1 ATGM at every fob, like this, that's my main concern with the vision increases, is that these ATGMs are just so potent. Maybe if you limited the amount of ATGMs you can place on a map to like 2 or something like that. I don't know how they're going to do it. That's what I would do in my opinion, but we'll see what happens. We'll see if it becomes an issue. That's all I've got for you guys today in this V18 patch notes rundown. I hope you guys did enjoy my first takes and initial takes on this patch notes. We'll see how the gameplay and the meta develops and what OWI does in response. Once again, if you're looking to pick up a copy of Squad, head over to Karmakut.com, where your purchase will support the channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you did enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and a special thanks to my channel members. If you want to support the channel and get up to 20% off my whole game store, check out that blue join button down below. Speaking of game store, you can buy my favorite games and official merch at Karmakut.com, so check it out. Looking for more content to watch? Try our last video here or sub on the right for future uploads. Finally, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.